Hey y'all, welcome back to In Bed with Blair. I am your host, Blair Thompson. This is the podcast and safe space where we unpack life's messiness, celebrate the glow-ups, and also try to be the best versions of ourselves without going freaking crazy. You guys, I'm super excited for this episode because we will be talking about imposter syndrome. It's something that I struggle with all the time. To kick off the show, we have today's segment, What Keeps Me Up at Night. And y'all, Pride Month is over, but let me tell y'all, one thing that keeps me up at night is people who cannot mind their business. It's insane to me how people can be against something that has nothing to do with them. Okay, yes, Pride Month is over, but why are you bothered? If you don't like gay people, don't marry a gay person. I just really don't understand it. Why can't some of y'all just mind your business? Why do people care so much on how other people live their life, especially if they're against how that person lives their life? So for example, if you're against gay people, I think it's so crazy that you'd be obsessed of their decisions. Like, how miserable do you have to be to go out of your way to try to make someone feel bad? I don't know, that's just weird. And I have a family member who's always negatively commenting on posts of like my outfits at concerts and music festivals. I don't really give a damn, but I'm confused why they are so bothered by my sexuality, but yet they're so obsessed of commenting and looking at what I'm doing. So I find that very odd and weird. But you know, if people really focused on themselves as much as they focus on things that don't even pertain to them, maybe they'd be a little bit happier. Anyway, choose peace, choose happiness, live your best life, and leave people alone. Because damn, what's wrong? Did your mom not hug you? I don't know. It's weird to me. Okay, y'all, now that I have cleared my chest, let's talk about something a little bit more personal and a lot more internal: imposter syndrome. This topic hits really close because I've been wrestling with myself for a long time mentally. Even when people compliment my work or achievements, it's hard for me to receive it. Like, I'm waiting for someone to pop out and say, like, you don't belong here, or you're not worthy enough to do this, or it's such a weird thing that you project onto other people and they may not even be feeling that or thinking that. And if they were, why would I give a damn? Because what? We should not care what people think. It's so much easier said than done, but sometimes it does make you feel like you're not valuable, right? So let's dig why imposter syndrome shows up for me. I think for me, because I do fall in the line of being in a marginalized group. And I think sometimes people think that I'm inadequate to do certain jobs because of my race, sexuality, for example. And that's something that I've always felt like has always been against me, but it probably really isn't. I just feel like it's something that I constantly think about. You know, in my current career in aviation, I do feel like I have imposter syndrome because I feel like a lot of people in the industry love planes, love aviation. And, you know, I joined more like in a customer service role because I'm a social person and that's just something that I'm passionate about, interacting with people. So when I was climbing up the ladder and getting into more of a corporate role, you know, I felt like because I didn't have the same interest that a lot of my counterparts did, that I didn't belong. And it did impact my workload where I felt like I wasn't contributing. So I will say that me developing videos and pitching ideas that I could help out in the training content spectrum, it's been something that's helped me because I've been able to raise the bar of the job that I didn't even think that I was qualified for. And it's so hard to, you know, especially if you're marginalized, it does feel like you are made to feel like things are not made for you or you're not supposed to be in this role. But again, that's just because we have what? Imposter syndrome. And it's been something that I've battled for a long time. I mean, even in media, like creating this podcast has been a really big step in me fighting imposter syndrome because I have to realize that the people that I attract that want to listen to my podcast, it's a community that I'm building. You know, I shouldn't try to find other people that are interested in what I'm trying to deliver, right? So it's one of those things where it's like, what can you do to contribute to society that maybe some people are not going to really identify with, and that has to be okay. But I know, especially with In Bed with Blair, that I can create a community of people that have the same outlook or a similar outlook as I do. And this podcast is all about being the best versions of themselves. Imposter syndrome is super hard because, you know, everything is projected. We're always thinking about how other people view us, and that internally makes us feel like we're not good enough to have that job, to have that opportunity, to ignore the accomplishments that we've already made. And no, we have to celebrate the wins, and you have to celebrate all the wins, big and small. Whether it's, buying flowers for yourself or buying a meal or a snack. There's some things that you have to do just to make sure that you're celebrating every moment, because if you don't celebrate yourself, who will? And I think a really good exercise this week is think about what is stopping you from going after something that you're interested in, right? So it could be writing, it could be developing something for TikTok, a series, it could be writing a book. Think about something that you're struggling with that maybe you're projecting onto other people's views of how you would look doing that. So I know it's super hard. I mean, listen, getting on this podcast and sharing my feelings and things that I'm going through, it's super hard for me. It's people tell me like it's courageous and they really appreciate that about me. But it's super hard to do this. And I feel like I'm literally just like taking a layer off every time I do this, but it's making me better. And I mean, by me becoming better by this podcast, it's making the podcast better. So it's one of those things where imposter syndrome can really eat you alive. So just know that you are valuable. You're supposed to be where you are, and you're supposed to be where you want to be. So do not let any doors that have closed on you, that you felt like have been closed on you, stop you from getting to the next level. You better kick those doors down, bitch, okay? Kick those doors down and fight for what you want. Life is too short not to go after everything you want, or not to even at least try. How do you know it's not gonna be right for you even if you don't even try? And that was my big thing with this podcast was, let's just drop it. Let's do it. Who cares? You're gonna attract people who are attracted to your art. Oh, that was a bar. So again, an exercise this week. Let's think about what we want to do and why outside opinions, why do they matter? And what can we do to ignore those and do what we want to do? Because it's something that we love and something that we're passionate about. Before we get into the nightmare and sweet dream of the week, I have to take a swig of the beer because this is too much for me. Okay, y'all. This next topic for nightmare of the week, it's a little dark, okay? But I love, crime podcast. I'm a crime junkie. So my nightmare of the week goes to a truly disturbing story out of Arizona. A group of 5th grade girls at Legacy Traditional School allegedly plotted to murder a classmate. Now, y'all, 5th graders. Okay, keep that in mind. They had roles assigned, gloves ready to avoid fingerprints, and they even forged a suicide note. Thankfully, the plan didn't go through because another student overheard and told her parents and the school's resource officer. Shout out to her for telling 2 people just in case. She said, not on my watch. Anyway, but 5th graders, for one, where are the parents? I hope these 5th graders didn't have phones. I hope these 5th graders had no electronic devices, because what are we doing? I feel like kids shouldn't have phones or anything until they're at least in 8th grade, And even then, I would probably give them a burner phone for their first year just to see if they're responsible, and then go from there. And they're definitely not getting social media until they're at least 16. You know what I'm saying? But that's just me. But to also have 5th graders plotting a stabbing. But child, what is going on in the world where we have 5th graders trying to kill people? I just need to know what in the Lifetime movie is going on. They got 5th graders watching shows. These kids were watching shows they weren't supposed to watch. They were probably on social media. They're showing each other videos. And the thing about it too is parents have to understand that when their kids are going to other kids' house, you don't know who's there. You don't know if that kid has an older brother, older sister who's watching some horror movie and it's going to give your kid nightmares. You don't know if they're watching Law and Order and they're getting inspired. And kids that young, they start I just saw a video on TikTok of the other day of I think she was 11 years old. She basically did a false report of a kidnapping and they arrested her little ass. Okay. And her parents were like, girl, you're doing too much. And then she lied about it, hung up on the cops, told the cops that she didn't do it, then said she was dared by her 7-year-old little brother. Crazy. No accountability. But what do you expect from an 11-year-old? Anyway, if you're listening to this and you got a kid, please make sure you're monitoring what they're doing, because this was just a plot. Imagine if they actually did it. Just saying. Now to cleanse the palate of the negativity. My sweet dream of the week goes to Netflix's America's Sweethearts, Dallas Cowboys Cheerleaders. Y'all, I'm obsessed. This show really changed my outlook on cheerleaders, and I didn't realize becoming a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader the type of boot camp they got to be in to be a cheerleader, because they're not just working the games, they're doing all the events, they're doing charities, they're doing tours across the country and the world. It's crazy how much they have to do, and it's crazy what they have to do to be able to be a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. Now, my favorite cheerleader from the show is Reese. She's my homegirl. She's a little country bumpkin. She's so cute to me, and literally she's a whole sermon in a leotard. In the final episode, she said this: "There have been some very challenging moments, but I'm so grateful for them because I know that in every season, the Lord always produces fruit." When I heard that, it was beautiful, and I was writing like my imposter syndrome show, and so when I was writing and she said that, I was like, wow, that just spoke to me, because even in some of the darkest times, we have to know that amazing, beautiful things are coming our way. But it gave me life. So that's the kind of reminder I need when I'm questioning myself, feeling behind, or just doubting the path that I'm on. So wherever you are in the world, whether you're doubting yourself or dodging other people's views of you, just know that you are enough. What you put out into the world is enough. Your work, your art, your creativity, it is enough. And you guys, again, please think about what is stopping you from achieving your full potential and putting yourself out there, because the only person that's really stopping us is ourselves. So I really appreciate the love and support. Thank you guys so much for the support and following the podcast and commenting and rating it. All of that really helps, and I'm really excited for the community that I'm building for this podcast. This show isn't just for me to just spew and preach, okay? It's for us to have a conversation. It's not just about me. I want you guys to comment. DM me. I want this to be interactive, so whatever I can do to help support you guys, just know that I'm here. Make sure you guys follow me on social media. I am Blair I am Blair what? I am Blair T on Instagram and On Air with Blair on TikTok. The personal page for the podcast is In Bed with Blair on Instagram, and we're also on YouTube at youtube.com/Blair Thompson. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening, and I'll see you next time.